Hello again, heretics, and yes, it seems like it's happening. Capcom is working on a Resident Evil 4 remake, and I'm going to encourage anybody who watches this to please leave a comment of what you think because I don't know what to think. With the remakes of 1, 2, and 3, I got it. They used tank controls, which was due to hardware limitations at the time. Not to mention they were still very fun games. I thought it was very clever ingenuity. However, Resident Evil 4 was pretty much a masterpiece as is. When they release it with better graphics, I can totally get behind that. I would even agree with improving the controllers. Letting you steer with the right analog stick is something that I think it sorely needs. Maybe that would take away from the purity of the game. I don't know, but people play it with mouse and keyboard. So I wouldn't mind adjusting the controls a little bit. Maybe even allow you to strafe. Resident Evil 4 was a huge departure, and many hold it as a masterpiece. And I think that there's going to be people out there who don't want this to be remade. And to the point I was making before, this one already has the over-the-shoulder camera. It gives you more control in that way. It made it more of an action game. I'm wondering what their goal here would be. Would they want to remake Resident Evil 4 as a survival horror game, or would they make it as an action game? If they make it into an action game, it's going to be the same thing. It already is an action game. I mean, I think it may be nice to have those two flavors. We would still have the old one, which was an action game that everybody knows and loves. And then we could have the remake where we get a more spooky and eerie take on that world, which I think that would be fun. If they remake it, it doesn't take the old one away from us. In fact, Resident Evil 4 is such a masterpiece and it pretty much prints money for Capcom. I think even with the remake in existence, the old Resident Evil 4 will just keep being updated. There will never not be a demand for Resident Evil 4, the original. With that, let's take a look at the article. Once again, Capcom is working on a Resident Evil 4 remake. Osaka-based M2 is leading development on the latest series reimagining, sources reveal. Posted by Andy Robinson, and this is on Video Games Chronicle. Following its reimaginings of Resident Evil 2 and 3, multiple development sources have told VGC that Resident Evil 4 Remake is now entered full production with an estimated release window of 2022. Development is being led by M2, the new studio founded by former Platinum Games head, which has been preparing for the project since 2018. I keep thinking 2018 was a long time ago. You see, here's some really good news. The studio helming the remake has been in operation since 2018 and is comprised of many former Platinum and Capcom employees. See, that's a little bit reassuring, that the fact that they have been working on this since 2018, it isn't just like, oh, Resident Evil 3 did well, let's hurry up and push this out the door, you know? So hopefully good things come from that. However, I'm just going to skip to the thing that scared me here. 2020's Resident Evil 3 features a number of potential nods to forthcoming remake, including the introduction of parasite zombies, which appears similar to Resident Evil 4's Plagas, and at least one sequence similar to a quick time event, which featured heavily in the fourth game. I cannot overstate how much I hate QTEs, quick time events. The thing I found refreshing in the remake of 2 was that there were no quick time events. I had enough of that from Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and especially Resident Evil 6. Maybe it's just me, but whenever I get to a point where I get to see a cinematic, a part of the story, I want to just enjoy it. I see that as a reward. I want to put my controller down, take a drink of my beer. Then suddenly a button flashes up. It flashes twice, disappears, and next thing you know, you got a knife in your head. I don't care for QTEs at all, especially in the middle of combat. That's whenever it really gets me. What do you guys think? Is QTE something you really want to see return? I see that as pure luck, just rock, paper, scissors. Maybe I have bad motor skills. Maybe I can't recognize shapes that fast. I just don't care for them. So please, Capcom, if you're going to remake Resident Evil 4, please leave the quick time events out of it, please. For the love of God. And really, given the information I have, that's really all I have to say so far. It's just really the idea, do we want to remake Resident Evil 4? Do we really want to curse it with quick time events? Also, do we want it to be scary? Do we want it to be actual survival horror? Or do we want it to be more action-packed? These are things I leave up to you guys. I'd be very interested in hearing opinions on this. Would a scary Resident Evil 4 be a tribute or a bastardization? Anyway, this is Heretic Prince. Thank you very much for listening.